Today, I've been given a very special invitation to see some truly extraordinary artefacts at Henry Aldridge & Sons, the world's leading auctioneer of Titanic-related objects. The company has sold everything from pocket watches and violins to letters and table menus. Giving me an exclusive preview of some of the items going on sale in their latest auction is Managing Director Andrew Aldridge. Andrew, it's great to be here at the Old Emporium auction rooms.
It's great to welcome you, Luke. Thanks for coming.
Now, last time, Dan was here a few months ago. Yep. He was looking at some fascinating objects as part of the Tomlin collection. Is that correct?
Ernest Tomlin, a third-class passenger who was travelling to America to complete his Bible studies. And we had the first part of that auction, and that sold for over £150,000.
Wow, spread across how many objects?
It was about 15 objects, the highlight of which was his ticket that made around £70,000.
And you've now brought in front of me an arguably even more exciting collection belonging to this man right here. Tell me about his story.
Here we have Frederick Sutton, age 61, and he was from Norwich, and he went to America to make his fortune. Some did. Obviously, some didn't make their fortune. In Fred's case, he did with interest. He made a lot of money as a realtor and property investor. He founded a town. He became a president of a bank, a president of an energy company, and he was a first-class passenger on Titanic.
So he's one of the big hot shots on board. Would he have looked like this?
Very much so. He was age 61, so I think, we can deduce this is going to have been taken there or thereabouts within a year or two of the Titanic.
Now, looking at some of the objects around him, I'm assuming he was unfortunate enough not to have survived the catastrophe.
That's correct. Statistically, as a first-class passenger, you had a better chance, obviously, of surviving. But as a first-class male, that went completely the other way.
Yeah.
Look at the list of those first-class passengers who were lost. The men, J.J. Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus. These are some of the richest men on the planet. So obviously money was no ticket to survival. But poor Fred, yes, he was one of those lost. He was recovered as body number 46.
Yeah, so this item here is fascinating. So these were the bags that were allocated to those who unfortunately perished.
Exactly. So what basically happened, you had several body recovery ships. The principals were the Mackay Bennett and the Minia. Their jobs were to go to the wreck site and have the unenviable task of picking up the remains of those who were lost. So what would have happened would have been the body would have been recovered, brought onto the deck of the Mackay Bennett. Then they would have made a decision, were they going to bury it at Halifax? Was the body going to be brought back to land, or were they to be buried at sea? Then all of those possessions on that person, those personal possessions, wallet, glasses, pencil, paperwork, this sort of thing, they were placed in these bags, and every body had a number. In Fred's case, 46. Then these bags were sent back to the loved ones. Obviously the body was, in the case of Mr. Sutton, he was one of the very, very few first-class passengers who were buried at sea. But those possessions and that bag were sent back to his brother-in-law.
And the objects that you have within your auction rooms are testament to the fact that a lot of objects did survive.
Quite literally, because in the case of Mr. Sutton, obviously when you have a thing such as a pocket watch, it's metal, it's a fairly solid object for survival. Glasses, again, very solid object. A key, again, a solid, it's metal. But things that you don't think would necessarily survive would be paper. Because what does paper do when it's in the water? Naturally,
It's ruined.
It's ruined. We move on to lot 364. And what is remarkable about this, it's the first-class passenger list.
Wow.
That Fred had on his person. As you can see, it quite naturally has seen better days.
Yeah, but you can still make out some of the details and some of the names.
Again, we look at the first page. First-class passenger list. Per Royal and US Mail SS Titanic, Captain E.J. Smith. And look at the names here. John Jacob Astor.
Yeah.
Richest man on the planet.
Richest man in the world at the time.
Yep.
And do you know why he would have been given a list of all the passengers?
Literally, the first-class passenger list was given to every first-class passenger on board. What it did, it told you it was an A to Z for who was there, first and foremost, because obviously the social element comes into it. You want to know Molly Brown's on it, John Jacob Astor's on it, Benjamin Guggenheim, you know, these VIPs, if you like. You're on board that ship with some of the most important and powerful individuals on the planet at that time. You're sitting at dinner with them, naturally. If you're a businessman, there's an opportunity potentially. But it did other things as well. It will tell you how to hire a deck blanket, where you go for dinner. You know, it was a really important document that showed you around the ship. At the end of the day, this is a ship that's 882.5 feet long. Yeah. You know, it's a massive ship, 46,000 tons. So these people that were going on board for the first time, they'd have got lost. What this did, it basically aided you on your voyage and make that voyage a little bit more pleasurable.
So how many pages exactly do we have in this guidebook?
It's around 16 pages. And if you have a look here, we can see a list of Titanic's future sailings. You know, you can see the last sailing scheduled in 1912 was for December the 18th. And obviously we've got the ill-fated voyage there, showing her return trip scheduled for May the 1st.
And this just reminds us that this was going to be a dynasty. This is going to be, it's the world's, you know, by room size, the world's biggest ship, to have many more voyages planned.
Olympic served in World War I as a troop ship. She sank a German submarine. She carried on happily until the 1930s. You know, this was what should have happened with Titanic. But obviously, the iceberg did get in the way of that.
Wow. That's just remarkable. And moving on to the logistics of getting the bodies back, we've got this important notice from the White Star Line here. Tell me a bit about this document.
What we've got here, as you said, this is an important notice, and it's an incredibly rare document. This is the first example of this I've ever seen. This was given to Sutton's brother-in-law upon arrival in Halifax. And here we get into the nuts and bolts, the mechanics post-disaster. Quite understandably, the notice is asking relatives or friends not to go to the dock to meet the Mackay Bennett because they have important work. The last thing these sailors need, after they've had this horrific experience on board, they're unloading bodies, they're doing all sorts of very important, but not particularly obviously glamorous work, is to have relatives just waiting at the dock.
And this, because this would have been in the news, this was front page.
This was front page news across the planet, naturally. Then it's talking about logistics. It's detailing the undertakers, the process and protocol that will be carried through. But what is remarkable about this document is, as I'll read if I may.
Yes.
When bodies are ready for shipment, friends may take them on the same train in the baggage car on payment of the regular first-class fare therefore, and the local officers of the Intercolonial will assist in all inquiries. Bodies may also be sent by express on payment of 2 first-class fares. The officers of the Canadian Express Company, 165 Granville Street, are prepared to render every assistance. So basically what they're saying here is if you want your loved one repatriated on the train, you've got to buy 2 first-class tickets. You know, callous does not even come close. This is a company that, as I said, they had form. They stopped the wages of the crew the moment the Titanic sank.
Yes, we know about that, don't we? It's the moment that they stopped working on the ship.
They stopped their wages. You know, so it's absolutely horrific. Of course, we have to quantify as well. We can't look at 1912 with 2025 values. You know, the world then was a wholly different place. Thankfully, the world is a different place now to then. But even so, you know, this is incredibly callous. Insensitive would be a very polite term for it.
The amount of problems they would have had after this had occurred. I mean, it was a logistical nightmare for them.
It was a logistical and legal tsunami, I think would probably be a very polite phrase for it. You know, to be able to sort this out as they did would have been an absolutely horrific task.
But just seeing these objects here, and especially the number 46 bag, just reminds you, as you said at the very start, that each of these, however many hundreds of people who unfortunately perished, thousands of people who perished, they all had a story, and they've almost just been reduced to a number.
Exactly. And that's the terrifying thing. And with the Titanic story, people set off on that ship with hope expectation. And then we cross over, the complete spectrum of human emotion to obviously the horror of the aftermath. And, that encapsulates it, doesn't it, really?
And we move from first class to second class with these two objects right in front of us here.
We drop down a level.
Yes.
So what we have here, Postcard written by Marion Wright. Marion has an incredible story. She's writing this postcard on board the ship, and great content if you'd like to have a little read.
Right, okay, so she says, it's a little bit tough to read, but I can see I am sending you this postcard of the gymnasium where Daddy and Molly and I went and where I had a ride on a cycle and won a race. I hope your cold is better. How is Sabrina? Much love to you, Mary.
So something like this, obviously it's fairly mundane in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? It's a simple postcard. But what's remarkable about it is that postmark. Queenstown, 3:45, April 11th, 1912.
And so presumably, Andrew, she bought the postcard on board, and this was written, we can see here, 3 days before the disaster.
3 days before the disaster. Titanic got into Queenstown, which is present-day Cobh, in Southern Ireland, and the mailbags were taken off, and they were postmarked in the post office in Queenstown, and then they were delivered. This one has a little local connection, of course, Blandford in Dorset. So that's about 30 miles down the road. And Marion herself, she was from Yeovil, born in Reading, from Yeovil. She was going to America to meet her true love, Arthur. And Arthur had got investment in a fruit farm in Oregon. She was going to meet Arthur. They'd been together for a few years. And Arthur was traveling from Oregon to New York on the train. So obviously, we're talking one end of America to the other.
They were going to meet in the middle.
They literally. So en route, obviously, Arthur discovers that the Titanic has sunk. So he gets to New York and he wants to know where she is. So first thought, what's he going to do? Naturally, he's going to go to the dock. And he missed her. He's at the dock and thinking, oh my God, where is she? He finds out where she is. He makes haste to that place in New York. They see each other. Obviously, they decide that this is the time. 7 days later, they're married.
So this is a happy ending.
This is a really happy ending. So they make their way back across America to Oregon, Cottage Grove in Oregon, where they have a fruit farm, and they're married for 53 years.
Wow.
Although the irony there is Marion never went back to Britain. She never made the journey back.
And that's interesting, isn't it? That's what a lot of, presumably second-class passengers and of course third-class passengers as well, they were making a new life, certainly out west as well, where there was cheaper land and, like I said, investments in
land of opportunity.
Exactly, yeah.
If you like. And this is what this little card represents. That opportunity, that going to the new world to start a new life. So many, they went there and those dreams were shattered. But in Marion's case, they came true.
And she was lucky, of course, being a woman, second class as well. She had a pretty good likelihood of survival.
Statistically, second-class woman, again, very good chance of survival. Flick the coin on the other side, second-class male, completely the opposite.
And it's a remarkable story, and the card itself, if I may,
Sure.
is a lovely picture of the gymnasium on board. I mean, the facilities on board this ship were remarkable.
They're phenomenal. You look at the gym, a lot of people go to the gym now. But here, you've got the horse, you've got the rowing machine, you've got weights there, all manner of facilities. Remember Titanic, it had a swimming pool.
Yeah.
It's had a Turkish bath, had a squash court, for Pete's sake. It was an incredible environment.
This was, of course, the luxury liner for so many people. They expected these sorts of facilities as well.
Exactly. They always said, if you wanted speed, go Cunard. Yeah. If you want luxury, you go White Star. And Titanic was a classic case in point.
Andrew, for our last object, we're returning to a familiar face.
Indeed we are.
Ernest Tomlin. Am I right in saying that this is one of your favourite items in this collection?
This is my favourite lot in the entire sale. We've talked about Frederick Sutton, first class. We've talked about Marion Wright, second class. Now we're into steerage, so third class. Ernest Tomlin's story, he was, as we said, a third class passenger. He was going back to America to complete his Bible studies at Des Moines University. Obviously, we know he didn't make it. He was recovered, his possessions were sent back to his parents. And what we have here, this is absolutely incredible. We have this small pencil, and this is his pocket diary. Wow. And the last entry written with this pencil is April the 10th, Titanic.
Oh my goodness me.
It's
just
absolutely incredible. No other entries, other notes in the diary. Basically, there are notes relating to his Bible studies, his faith. But the fact that the last entry here is 10 Wednesday, April, Titanic. But it's the fact that it's written with this little pencil. It's quite conceivable that that there is the last thing that that pencil wrote.
It's almost just that the simplicity is haunting.
It is. It's so powerful, isn't it? That small object that's been in the North Atlantic with him, the fact that the pencil has written Titanic, it's the last thing that is written in this diary.
And it's just remarkable that these objects survived, especially the pencil, which would have just been kept right inside.
It's got a little enclosure there, but you can clearly see, if we look at it, the fact that it's heavily water stained.
Yes. It's so delicate.
It is.
Yes.
It's never been on exhibition before. It's never been seen before. This again is an item that's being sold by Mr. Tomlin's direct descendants.
Wow. And it's such a personal item as well. It's the most private object.
A diary is the most private object you can have, isn't it? Yeah.
Andrew, what's so remarkable is, despite over 1,000 people perishing in this unforgettable disaster, today we've seen 3 faces. We've got 3 stories told through these absolutely remarkable objects.
This memorabilia tells those stories. Every man, woman and child on that ship had a story to tell, and those stories are brought to life 113 years later by these pieces of memorabilia.
And these are stories of survival and new beginnings, but they're also stories of immense tragedy.
Exactly. If you like, they're almost a sort of cross-section of human emotion, aren't they? The anticipation from getting on the Titanic, the biggest, most glamorous ship of its era in 1912, through to obviously the other side. You've got the relief of survival, and obviously the horror and the despair for the loved ones of those who didn't actually make it.
And these objects, Andrew, they go on sale this Saturday, the 22nd of November.
That's correct. Clients can visit our website, henryaldridge.com. Everything's illustrated. The entire catalogue is there to view and enjoy.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, again, for the privilege.
That's my pleasure. Lovely to see you.
The sale is taking place tomorrow on the 22nd of November. To find out more about these and other items, click the links in the description below. We'll be checking back in with Andrew to see how the auction went, but in the meantime, you can take a look at even more documentaries on the Titanic on our YouTube channel.